Hello again from my front porch. Now you may be wondering why this is not product placement. Well, I guess it kind of is product placement, but specifically I got this carbonated water, flavored carbonated water, because I've been trying to cut out the soda, but I still like the carbonation stuff. And so I found this flavored carbonated water, but it's called bubbly. And the reason I'm making a big deal about the bubbly, see with the little smile and everything, isn't that cute? The reason I'm making a big deal about this is because this reminds me of my mom. And it's Mother's Day. A can of carbonated water makes you think of your mom? No, but the bubbly part and the smile. This makes me think of my mom, because I get complimented a lot on what people perceive as positive characteristics of me, about how I'm always upbeat, that I have a good sense of humor, that I enjoy music, that I'm personable, that I'm a good listener, that I always have a positive outlook on life, I don't seem to let things get me down, that I adapt to changes fairly quickly and move on. But I don't deny that I try to do that. I don't always succeed, admittedly. But for the most part, those are good descriptors of who I am. But you know why I'm that way? I'm that way because of my mom. Because that's who she is. And if you're somebody who knows me and you're impressed by those characteristics in me, if you were to ever meet my mom, you would think she was a saint. because she is the gold standard for all of those things. She raised 5 of us and my dad. and still doing so to this day. But I just can't say enough about what a wonderful woman she is, and how strong and how loving. I mean, she's a tiny, short little lady, but she has a massive sized heart. And it is just so incredible, the impact that she has on the lives of everybody around her. She worked at a nursing home as a nurse's aide for over 40 some years. That was her whole job, from when she was in high school up to right when she met my dad to all the way through all of his kids growing up, and until she retired here a few years ago. That was her. She never was promoted. Never went on to become a CNA or anything like that. She was just a nurse's aide, and that's all she ever wanted to be. That's all she was. She was very good at it, though. If you're in a situation where you have to place a loved one into a care facility like that, she is the kind of woman that you wanted working there, taking care of them, because she was an absolute angel of mercy in every possible way. Just incredible. So much so that my dad even tells stories about now. They'll be out. Well, not right now. You can't be out on town right now. But it used to be that they'd be out on town and they'd be out doing things. And somebody would come up and they'd say, Dorothy, hey, how you doing? Boy, we sure miss you at the nursing home. My mom and my dad, a resident at the facility, man, they still talk about you and say, man, we really miss having you there, Dorothy. You were so good with them, and we just love you so much. And several years now after she's retired, people still remember her, still talk about what a wonderful influence she was. That's a great legacy. That is a great legacy. But the bigger legacy she has is me. And my 4 siblings. We are her legacy. And so every time someone compliments me on what they see as these positive characteristics, that I'm a bubbly person, or that I smile a lot and they like my smile, you know what? You are complimenting my mom. You are acknowledging her living legacy as it lives on through me. And I'm flattered by that, but more importantly, I am humbled, and I am grateful to have had a mom that loved me so much. Still does, and of course she loves me better than the rest of them because I'm her favorite, of course. I'm joking. Well, maybe a little. No, anyways. But seriously, my mom, she is so amazing. She is so wonderful. And, granted, the years are catching up to both her and my dad. And they're not able to do as much as they used to do, and they don't have as much freedom as they used to have, especially now with this COVID-19 stuff going on. But I mean, she is just still so chipper and such a go-getter, and she and she's still willing to try new things and to experience new things, and she just loves having fun and laughing with family, and it's just such a delight to see. And there are times where I'm fine not being around anybody at all, and just being shut in, and just maybe watching some TV and leave me alone. I'm good. And I think sometimes we all need that. We need some decompression time. But then I watch my mom. She's now 74, and I watch her and I think, wow, man. I hope. Assuming I get to that age, my dad's 80, so I'm hopeful. But when I get to that age, I hope I'm like that. I hope I am still the compliments that I get today. Excuse me. I hope they still define who I am. Maybe even more so. That would be so amazing, so incredible. I really hope that that's the case. That to me is one of the best ways that I can say thank you to my mom, is by letting her live on long after her journey may come to an end at some point. Well, on the other hand, I don't know. Both my grandmothers lived a long time. She may outlast all of us. I don't know. But I know she'll hate that. She'll be like, "No, I don't want to do that." But my point is that she's tough. She's strong and she's resilient, and she's just such an amazing woman. And I also just devoted. I wrapped up the most recent episode of Sundays with Paul, which will be, this is today's Saturday, tomorrow is Sunday, Mother's Day, 2020, and it'll be available for public viewing tomorrow on YouTube. And I devoted that one to her about the investment that she made in me in a religious sense, because a lot of people tell the horror stories about being forced to go to church, being dragged to church, and how boring it was, and how horrible the experience was, and and they just couldn't stand it, and they couldn't stop going to church fast enough, and all this kind of stuff. And I have no point of reference for that. I feel sorry for the people that have that description, but I genuinely have no point of reference, because that wasn't my reality. My reality was my mom. Now, my mom made it clear that it was not that we were not missing church. We went when the doors were open. We were there. In fact, I was going to church 9 months before I was born, if that gives you any indication. So we were always there, but it wasn't out of obligation. It wasn't because we were forced to have to be there. She instilled in all of us that it was a joyful thing to get to go. It was a happy thing to get to go to church. It was a fun place to be, an exciting place to be. That it was a joy to be around the other people who were there, and to get to sing the songs and get to learn and interact with it. It's to this day, I find it difficult to fully wrap my head around when other people talk about how horrible their church experiences were growing up. Now, it's not impossible for me to wrap my head around that, because in the years since, I have had the opportunity to attend some other churches, and I have observed some of the settings in which I think, this is probably one of those places those people talk about. But again, it may not even just be the setting. It may have been, I believe, I like my church. I still do. I like going back and visiting, even though most of the faces are completely different and they don't have a clue who I am anymore. But I still love going back and visiting because I get to go with my mom. Well, when we're able to go to church again, when it's legal for us to get to do that. But I like going and just seeing her face light up when she's singing the songs, when she's listening to the sermon, when it's prayer time and she's praying, and you can just see the genuineness of she is just such a living, breathing example, this paragon of virtue. And I know that's a huge statement, but I mean it sincerely. I know what the term paragon of virtue means, and I hold my mom up to that definition 110%. And I hope that someday, I will be able to be to be held up to that standard too, because I know I'm not yet. I'm not there at this point, but maybe eventually I can reach that. But I love my mom very much. I love her with all my heart. I genuinely would not be the man I am today without her being my mom. And I know that's kind of a silly thing to say, because none of us would be the people we are without our mom or without our dad. But again, it's like I said, I get all these compliments, personally, professionally, about the type of person I am and the characteristics. Sometimes the things that surprise other people. I love when I'm in a meeting at work, for example, and we're discussing an idea, and I say, "Well, here's an idea," and others around the table just start shredding it. They just start ripping it apart, and I sit there, I'm taking notes. I'm like, oh, okay, so you would rather see that? Okay, all right, then let's talk about that more. Okay, yeah, and I'm writing this down, and then afterwards they're all like, you didn't get flustered at all. It's like you didn't get offended that we were ripping apart your idea. You're just taking out, and you're like, and I'm like, yeah, that's just the point was to come out with the best idea, and I put something out there. You didn't like it. Between all of us, we tweaked it, and now we have a really solid, good idea. That's the way it should work. And you know who I learned that concept from? From my mom. My mom, She doesn't like change, and nobody really does. She would prefer that she didn't have to change things. But when something gets thrown at her, when a change gets thrown at her, she has, like a lot of people, she'll have the initial, whoa, what just happened? What's going on here? And then she recognizes what's going on, and then she just adapts. She doesn't sit around pouting and whining, oh, I don't want to do it this way. I still want to do it that way. She just is like, oh, well, I like that way. I was able to do things that way, but okay, so apparently we're doing it this way now. All right. And just poof, shift, positive attitude, just move forward. That's what we got to do. And it's amazing how disarming that is to so many other people that don't think that way, that aren't wired that way. Thank you, Mom, for helping me be wired that way. Because it has served me very well in so many different venues and so many different avenues. Anyway, I'm hoping that I get to see my mom. Now, I do plan on trying to see her tomorrow, but I may not see her for very long, and I have to be careful because my dad had a little bit of a medical issue this last week, and it was because of something. His insulin prescription was too high, and so when he was doing insulin, he was taking too much. It turns out he had also dehydrated a bit. His blood sugar was way off, and there were. And then there's some medication issues. It was a perfect storm of a lot of little things that all added up to him actually having to be checked into the hospital and spending a few days there. Now, they didn't have pneumonia, doesn't have COVID-19, none of that kind of stuff. But they've now sent him home. And because of all of this and because they're worried about him, they have him under a 2-week quarantine, which means the house under a 2-week quarantine, including my mom. And so that does kind of mess up my plans to go visit them. Now, I can still go visit, wear a mask, and then limit my exposure to them. And so that's what I'll be trying to do, because it is in his best interest and hers as well. But I do plan to try to stop in just to, at the very least, give my mom a hug, because it's Mother's Day and I love her so very much. And I can call and say I love you, but she likes to get a hug from her kids, and I think it's worth the risk. So anyway, with that, I'll let you all go. But whether you can go see your mom in person or not, I encourage you to make contact, call, do video chat, do something. Reach out to your mom and let her know how much she means to you. Let her know how much you love her in some way. And if your mom isn't with us, my condolences, sorry, but you can still let your mom know. I believe she can still hear you, and you can let her know how much she meant to you and how much you still continue to carry on the torch of her legacy as you proceed. So there you go. That's a good uplifting, happy Mother's Day kind of conclusion, right? All right, with that, I'll let y'all go. And I'll see you next time from my front porch.